Welcome to PM Movie Recaps. Today's pick is a sci-fi and thriller of 2018, Anon. If you're ready, let's enjoy the video. In the near future, people have to live in a world where technology is developing rapidly and there is no such thing as privacy anymore. An augmented reality ocular device is implanted in every human being which records everything they see and can show someone's detailed private information such as age, name, profession and much more. Sal Friedland, who works as a detective in the city, is on his way to work while exploring nearby people's personal information. At some point he crosses paths with a mysterious girl who is later called Anon. Her personal information is not displayed, which makes him confused. Then, as being a detective, Sal receives complaints from other people and has permission to access people's memories to solve or clarify related crimes. One of them is Dominic Ray, whose son hasn't returned his call. Sal then goes through the ether, the database where the memories of all people are being stored, and finds the footage of his son who just ended his life by falling from the building. There is also Alyssa Agorian, who claims that her bracelet was stolen by a maid in the hotel room. He replays the recording from the maid's perspective, showing that she was doing her job and did not steal anything. Now, after the woman leaves, it is revealed that Sal deliberately did not show her what happened a minute earlier. The maid indeed stole the bracelet and he decided not to show it because she sold it to pay her rent. Sal also has the authority to decide whether someone is innocent or guilty by assessing through their memories. After some time, a man has just been murdered and he directly heads over to the crime scene. Meanwhile, another detective, Charlie, sends the recording to Sal. He discovers that someone has been able to murder off the record by altering the victim's point of view. Then the perpetrator swaps his own point of view with the victim's point of view and then finishes him. Because of that, the detective couldn't identify the assassin, as they have no proof at all. Charlie explains that there is also another case where the victim's thoughts got hacked and killed in the exact same method. He further adds that the assassin might be a woman, but they cannot find her information until now. Sal tells his partner about the mysterious woman he saw earlier in the street. Later that night he tries to replay the memory of Anon while making love with his girlfriend, but the recording suddenly is deleted. Realizing that Sal is thinking about another woman, the girl becomes upset and leaves him immediately. The following day, the detectives, with the help of Lester, who is an expert, investigate the murder case and discover that the man had a mysterious guest before he was killed, but they cannot find any evidence of the meeting. After investigating deeper into a similar case, they then conclude that all victims hired someone with the ability to manipulate or delete parts of their visual records that were either humiliating or incriminating. Just then Sal reveals that the description of the Anon matches with the description of the last person to see the victim alive, making her their primary suspect. It is also disclosed that Anon has the ability to believe any recordings from every person that sees her, making her completely anonymous. After finishing work, Sal plays the recording of his son. He then attempts to call his ex-wife Christine and reminds her that tomorrow is their son's birthday. She tells him to stop remembering their son as he has already died. It is then revealed that Christine has married another man who is unhappy with Sal because he keeps calling her. Sal is upset and hangs up the call. A few moments later, a murder case with the same method occurs again. This time the victims were two girls whose visions were also hijacked. After examining the maid's recording, Sal realizes that the killer is still in the house and attempts to seek out her. Sadly, Anon finishes the guard and Sal chases after her. In the train station his vision suddenly glitches and he gets hit by the train. Later on, the detective learned that the perpetrator wants to be paid in cash, which is a currency that cannot be hacked. That's why she has to meet face to face with the client. Sal also realizes that his vision was altered when he was chasing after her, causing him to get hit by the train that never existed. To lure her out, the detectives plan to hire her and Sal will act as bait. He will go undercover, deliberately creating a false record as a stockbroker who engages in an affair with a prostitute and is afraid that his fiancée will find that out. After that, he makes contact with Anon and asks her to meet in person to delete the history with the prostitute. He brings her to his apartment and the deletion process begins while Lester is tracking and monitoring her from the other room. Just then, Sal explains that he wants the escort erased from his memory. She deletes it easily and also manages to alter the timeline to fill the gap. Anon reveals that she does not want to exist, even as someone else, that's why she doesn't use aliases and hides all her personal information. After the job is done, Anon takes the money and immediately leaves. Sal tries to chase after her, but it's too late. The next day, the new tech specialist, Cyrus Freer, is introduced to the team. He manages to hack into Anon's vision and they can now see what she is doing in real time through her eyes. Now Lester claims that she has to be active in ether in order for them to track her location. She eventually gets into the ether and plays a memory of Jesper Nix, a money-lending art dealer who is doing business with Max Keener, who was previously known as a forger. Anon then deletes Jesper's meeting with the forger and replaces it with him acting like he has discovered the painting. Jesper makes an attempt to sell the fake painting to make a profit. The detectives manage to trace all 12 proxies, but the last one remains unknown. After investigating Anon for a day, the detective still cannot trace her location and suddenly loses the connection. A few moments later, Nix is found dead, killed by the same person with the same method. Joseph, the bureau commissioner, thinks that the homicide case is not a big deal because the victims deserved it, but Sal is against it. Coming to a dead end, Charlie suggests Sal goes undercover again to find more information about Anon, this time acting like a man who buys drugs. They meet again in Sal's apartment and Anon deletes all the unwanted subjects and replaces it with whatever Cole wants. Then they begin to develop a personal relationship and Anon starts telling the detective her personal problems. After having some fun in bed, she finally discovers Sal's true identity and immediately leaves there. Unfortunately, while he attempts to go after her, he finds out Lester has been killed seemingly by her. Not long after, Anon calls Sal and threatens that she will finish him if he tries to find her. Since then, Anon starts haunting Sal, tormenting him with its worst memories, such as being hit, being chased by a dog and a room full of rats. It is also revealed that his son was assassinated after getting hit by a car. The following day, Sal finds that all good memories related to his family have been deleted by Anon. He immediately calls his ex-wife and asks her to send the memories about their son to him. Although Anon also has deleted all of that in Christian's mind. Suddenly Sal sees a raging fire in the apartment. He pulls out his gun and fires in a random direction. But soon he realizes that he was just hallucinating as soon as the hacker removes all the illusions. He also almost shoots one of his neighbors. While driving, Anon alters his vision as if there are no cars at all on the road. He proceeds and suddenly there are a lot of cars in the street, causing him to hit several of them. Sometime later, while talking to Charlie, an officer shows up telling them that Sal has shot one of his neighbors. He tries to convince the others that the recording has been manipulated and he has been set up by the hacker, but they reject the explanation, and because of that Charlie decides to suspend him from the mission and Sal is forced to stay home with surveillance around the clock. He then reluctantly complies. Later that night, Sal pretends to sleep and secretly walks out of the apartment, knocking out the man who is supposed to watch over him. He heads over to Anon's apartment. Upon arrival, Anon reveals that someone is assassinating her clients, trying to make it look like she finished them. She shows him her memory of the time Lester was killed, proving that it's not her who killed his partner. After that, she escapes from the apartment. After some time, Charlie confronts Sal and the detective is officially relieved of all duty. The next day, Anon attempts to meet the detective and distract all the officers guarding in front of the apartment. Anyhow, the real assassin follows her and attempts to kill Sal in his apartment. Sal gets shot in his stomach. It turns out that he is Cyrus, the newcomer IT specialist in the detectives team who has been obsessed with Anon for years, killing anyone who would have intimacy with her. Realizing that Cyrus is seeing what he sees in real time, Sal attempts to shoot Cyrus and the bullet hit him once. They then try to escape from the apartment, but Sal, once again blindfolded, shoots him and this time the shot is fatal. Anon then walks away from there as nothing has happened. Finally, Sal gets his good old memories back and meets Anon for the last time. She reveals that she broke her life up into fractions of seconds and randomly stores them in the records of everyone else. That's why she is untraceable. When asked why she insists on hiding herself from the world, she answers that it is not because she has something to hide, but merely just because she doesn't want to share anything about her life with anyone. Thank you for watching, but before leaving, please make sure that you click subscribe and turn on the notification so that you can enjoy watching more videos like this.